What is up, Devs Like Us community? Welcome to another episode of Devs Like Us. I think today's title is Choose Yourself or Let Others Choose It For You. Am I right?
Well, I was going to go with, welcome back to another episode of Devs Like Us, where uh, I might be here tomorrow, I might not.
Mm,
You
Oh,
choose,
that
be
could
the
go
best
both
manager.
ways. I like how you put that.
You both are wrong. The title of this episode is Layoffs and Resignations.
Doves Like Us is the community.
Anyway, welcome back, guys. I'm so glad to be back. It's been a while.
yes.
So I'm guessing it seems like a lot of things change. See, we have some haircuts, some hair growths, new headphones, new jobs. So I guess we should start with the round robin. JB, you want to kick it off? What's new?
Let me see. What's new? Since, this episode is so fitting, I quit my job working for the government, and now I'm a researcher for a private research company. So doing a bunch of research and development stuff. Yeah, that's my main thing. Been traveling a little bit more. Took a couple solo trips. Washington State, chef's kiss, A1.
Nice.
Yeah. And just doing the usual living, loving. Yeah. How about you, Clarence?
Everything's been going pretty good. I feel like I have been the biggest thing that I've been up to is a ton of content consumption. I think that's like I'm in that phase of life where I'm just trying to pretty much learn a lot of different things and just kind of expand the knowledge base. Work is going pretty good. It's keeping me busy, and I'm still remote, so that's a win in a sense. But yeah, that's all. That's pretty much where I've been. And I grew a fro.
Yeah, because you're
I
remote.
haven't named it yet, but maybe that's to come. I'll still go with
real
T.
Edgar vibes.
I go with Edgar. Drop in the comments. What should I name my fro?
Please don't cut that. Also, you don't know what you're asking for.
That has to stay.
No, it's not the type of engagement
Drop in the comments.
Oh man, how's it going, T man?
It's going pretty well. So I also switched job / positions. So kind of getting the contractor experience now, which is eye-opening. That's something I always wanted to do. It's I think it's a good experience. It's definitely different. I think one of the biggest differences is sometimes like you kind of like, I don't want to say like be a big boy and kind of like go out there, like when you go on site, it's like handle business and get things done type of mentality, take initiative. So that's it's been a good experience. Still in school, so I think I've already mentioned like I passed the qualifying exam, and so now I've started work. I'm pretty sure I'm like almost 90% sure we already said that in the last episode that was like last year. Yeah, definitely still something to celebrate. And so now I'm like semester on my second semester of doing dissertation, so doing research, reading a lot of research papers, looking at how to improve the software testing process with utilizing machine learning. And so that's been interesting and eye-opening. Kind of like having to go back to a lot of fundamentals to be able to be stronger in the research area. So that's been fun, and been going through a lot of data the past 3 months to kind of like prepare the foundation for my research, my dissertation. So that's been exciting. And then as always, family. It's been rocking and rolling, always exciting. So hitting the pool a lot. Got a new gym membership at not gonna say the name of the gym, but it has an awesome indoor-outdoor pool. So the kids can we can always have something to do for the most part.
Nice.
Take them to the pool, chill out. So that's been awesome.
It's good because it's hot. This is a different type of heat. I don't remember this kind of heat when we were growing up.
We had to stay outside all day.
Yeah,
don't keep running out of my house.
This heat starts you sweating before you even get out the door.
Definitely does.
It's a gut punch as soon as you open the door.
Exactly. Do we want to go to shares for the week, or do we want to go to the topic? It's up to y'all.
Let's go with shares for the week so we can go ahead and, get the people talking, all that fun jazz.
Anyone got it? You want me to start?
Yes.
All right. So, like past few days, I went and paid $10 on buy Super Pumped, and boy, have I loved it. So I miss what was this? Was it Silicon Valley, the other show that was on HBO? So I love tech shows.
Silicon
movies.
Valley was great.
It was awesome because it's
just a little plug.
I have to watch it, but I heard it was great.
It's good. I don't know. For me, I like being able to see stuff and relate, and like all they have to do is get like half of the tech jargon right, and I'm like, okay, I get it, because you know how most normal Hollywood movies is just completely off. Like that makes
the worst.
Yeah, like that makes no sense. That's not realistic.
It's
but
like
then to see
you type for 2 seconds, it was like, I'm in.
Yeah, and then like the glowing screens. Yeah, but this one for Super Pumped, it's not even like the tech so much as like the office politics, startup culture, like how people deal with like toxic work environments. And so basically it's all around the start of Uber, and it's centered around Travis, the CEO of the company, and like his strengths as a CEO, and like it definitely highlights all of like his weaknesses as a CEO, and it's something that it's worth looking at. Even if you don't want to work at a startup, it's definitely eye-opening of like a lot of times we glorify some of the things in tech, but this definitely reveals like a lot of the negativities of things and like what we need to work on, and like how you can sweep things under the rug, but it's still going to come to the light eventually. But yeah, so they talked about how like women were treated in the workplace. They discussed how basically engineers, like a lot of engineers are eventually faced with the opportunity of having to decide, do I want to work for this great company and be able to do like this once in a lifetime opportunity to like use my skills for this thing that can probably live on forever, or like do I have to and like do that thing, but also basically, I don't want to say sell your soul, but basically be something that you're not. Like one of the things they had to do in the interview is basically say like, are you an a-hole or not? And I don't know if this is true or not, because with Hollywood you basically have to add some fluff, so I don't know what's true and what's not. Of course. But I don't know if this portion was true. I know a lot of the stuff was accurate, and like there's actually videos of the actual CEO doing like some of the stuff. But this person was like at the end of the interview, like, are you a-hole or not? And these people clearly aren't and don't want to, but like they want the opportunity, so they basically like end up not being themselves and saying like, yeah, they are, just so they could get the job, which it's definitely eye-opening. It's something like I would never want to like not be able to be myself somewhere. So yeah, that was tough. Let me see if I could.
Performative like work environments are terrible. Like you're definitely going home exhausted. Like developing all day and talking all day for certain people is exhausting, but to add performance to that is horrible. Like forcing yourself to be a tech bro if you're not. That is that's very like frat type mentality, like frat hazing type mentality. I don't want to say frats overall, because not all frats are terrible, but the hazing portion of frats and things. So yeah.
Right. I think it's one of those things that it's a reminder when you're getting interviewed for these companies, you have to interview them just as much as they interview you to kind of see what is the work culture going to be like. If it's going to be one of those things that you might like for a few months, but then you kind of see where you'll burn out eventually. Like that might be kind of a red flag. But also, if you do get the opportunity to talk to a few of the coworkers talk to a few of the employees that are there, and try to get
walk outside.
Yeah, exactly. I think I saw.
Don't be a stalker though. Sorry.
No. Yeah, I think I saw. I think like especially like at big tech conferences, I know a lot. I've seen like a lot of people who are like vloggers who like they meet with these employees while they're at the conference. Maybe get a few minutes to chat, maybe even over dinner, maybe even just like a drink at the bar or coffee in the morning. But just a matter of just like doing the due diligence to see like, am I a fit here? And will I love it? I mean, granted, you don't have to be there forever, but you also don't want to. Dread the idea of, like you said, Terrence, kind of like sell my soul mentality or just work culture, because that wouldn't be a good fit.
And that would essentially cause an identity crisis, because if you live that life of portraying yourself in a certain manner for long enough, you will then start to lose parts of yourself, and that will kind of bleed over into your regular day-to-day life. Now the people at home are like, you've changed. I don't like this version of you, type of thing, which causes rifts and things like that. And so like having that type of culture just, it doesn't sit well with me at all. So yeah, but Terrence did mention something that I feel is, Clarence's favorite word, a segue into another one of our shares, which is the Leather Boys conversation about Uber. And in this one, first of all, they had, what was the number of male people working there?
I'm getting it for you. Well, at least I'll get it for people to be able to see.
120 male SREs, which is site reliability engineering, and 6 female. And so they decided that, hey, we're going to get leather jackets for everybody. In this process, they found out that they have enough men to get a discount. But if they get them for the women, then, it's going to cost us extra. Yeah, right here is that section. And so they decided, well, let's just get them for the men and call it a day. And so the woman, her name was
it Susan?
Yeah, Susan Fowler. She basically sent an email and was like, hey, this isn't fair. And her boss comes back and was like, well, it wouldn't be fair if we bought, if we paid extra for the women's jackets. It's like, what? Like,
and that scene is all in the show on the Super Pump. So it's like they play all that exactly. I forgot which episode, but it's only like 9 episodes on the first season.
Okay.
I think it's worth the $10. Or if you have Showtime, I think you can watch it like on demand.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Where HBO family is, you got to cut it off somewhere. We're not getting everything. But go ahead, JB. I'm sorry, but yeah, I just wanted to highlight like that was spelled out there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, because now I'm about to go watch that particular episode because I want to see how they played it out. But it's like, as a female, it's the question of like, what possesses you to say, oh no, us paying extra for these 6 women's jackets, not like it's a 50-50 split. These 6 women's jackets is so unfair to the 120 men that we got the jackets on discount. Of course, you're
how many $1 billion evaluations did they have, JB? Like we're talking billions of dollars. That's right. So crazy. And these people exist.
If there's a male in the office that's like, oh my gosh, they got special treatment, they got their jackets on, like they had to pay extra for their jackets. I'm like, do you know how bulk buying works? Like, if you buy in bulk, which is 120 men, of course you're going to get a discount. You can't buy bulk if they've only hired 6 people, 6 women. So it's like, the math ain't mathing.
That's one of my favorite sayings.
It ain't making any sense to me. And it's a very toxic work environment to say that, we're all about fairness. And in this day and age of, diversity and inclusion, like, I know this was an older situation, but even the fact that in the 2000s we have to worry about, well, the 2010s we have to worry about this is crazy to me. But yeah, that's my little bit. I'm a little passionate about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say after reviewing this, it kind of reminded me, and I don't have the I guess like specific time frame, but wasn't it just recently we saw the same thing in sports? And I forget what the event was, so I don't want to call it, but I remember there was a thing of the women's gym equipment versus the men's gym equipment. Like it was
The
a
NCAA
huge.
tournament.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's one of those things like we keep seeing this. So I think like if anything, this does bring awareness to just equality in the workplace in general, and just showing that there's still some shortfalls. And in this case, it's like JB said, you're buying in bulk. You just have to buy six. Well, the bigger problem is you only have 6 women in your organization, but also too, just a matter of like if you're buying in bulk, you already got a discount. What is it to spend a little bit extra on 6 other jackets?
Yeah. It also makes me question, like, what does the rest of the diversity like categories look like in this place? If like you're like, oh well, we have 6 women. Like, as a woman, I kind of
And
liken that
yeah,
to I can't even remember which bank it was when the guy was like, yeah, we can't find enough black people to hire, and it's like there's a lot of black people in tech.
mm-hmm.
And so I kind of liken that to the fact that they only have 6 women there. Like,
Yeah, I guess I keep thinking that like if you only have 6 women in your department, like you would at least for one, you should be apologetic that like there isn't a more diverse workspace. But in the same instance, I feel like you should just take a little bit better effort to make those feel comfortable and show like you belong here. In this sense, it's just kind of like yeah, I guess like even with most of the diversity inclusion stuff that we hear nowadays, it's all check marks, but it just shows like is there a real purpose behind it and empowerment following that too.
definitely.
For sure. And so and this is so they do have a new CEO now. They had the former attorney general come in and like do a huge report. All this is in the show as well if you're interested in like following it. And so I like watching stuff like this because it's like a good lessons learned. And like I'm on the last episode now, but yeah, it's been awesome. I've enjoyed watching it. And let's see what do we have next, JB?
Now we're getting
Episode
into the
topic?
show. Yeah, we're
All
we're
right.
getting into the nuts and bolts of things. And so I kind of wanted us to start with our experiences and things. Now, granted, as far as I know, none of us have gotten laid off, but we all have resigned once upon a time at some point during the course of our career. But I do know that Clarence has experienced the layoff culture at one of his jobs. Like he wasn't the one on the top of the block, but he was there. So I kind of want him to speak on that. So yeah, I'll start with Clarence speaking on the layoff portion, and then we can all share the stories of the resignations and things.
Yeah, sure. So I've experienced it twice. So
Yes.
at one company that I was at, it was very rare for layoffs to happen, and it was just basically the business that we were in. It was more hiring than kind of like I guess the hiring versus firing. But I do know there were other parts of the organization that would be affected in this just based off of the workload and just kind of like the projected picture of what's supposed to happen. But I will say, like, I never forget, like, my first experience with it. It's like one of those things where you just finished school. I think at the time, too, it was like I just finished school. I had just bought a house. Like, everything was starting to look really good, like it was kind of like the up and up. And then, like, one random day, like, we get this notification or we get this odd feeling, or I can't remember if it was a message or whatever, but like a few of our peers, had been tapped or quote unquote tapped on the shoulder and told to, basically grab your things and leave. And so when you like witnessed that, and it was I had a friend of mine that it was affected by it. It was like one of those things that like, it's kind of like, it's a reminder that there is safety in employment, but then at the same time, business is business and it can happen to anyone, no matter what your skill level is, your skill set, what you're working on, the importance of what you're working on. It's just a matter of, the business tightening things tightening things down. Maybe there's lack of funding. Maybe even, I always say there's always other conversations that are going on that us as the workers don't see. So there's also that thing of, a project that was quote unquote at one point in time highly needed, very of high importance, also being, pretty much pulling the plug because it just doesn't fit the business needs. And that was kind of like that's also kind of like the experience of the second go round at the second company that I worked with, at another company that I worked with. And that was just how they flowed. It was just kind of like, at one day, you're laying out your, pretty much your sprints, your, all of your workload for the weeks. And then someone higher up decides that, or I guess higher up, someone decides that, yeah, we don't need this anymore. And so, again, you kind of pack, pretty much, again, get the tap on the shoulder, pack your things up. And I want to say, like, the second experience was one of those things that folks would tell you and you're like, okay, I dealt with this before, so I kind of get it. But then, like, when you, I guess, like, visualize the office and notice how simplistic everything was, which I mean, like, only pretty much carrying what you have. So, your laptop, maybe, like the stuff that you use for the day to day, but not really like taking the time. And I don't know if y'all have experience, but, folks who like have office plants and, pictures of their families, like it's none of that there. It's like, you keep it simple, basic necessities of what you need and what you could carry, because at any given point, you can get the boot.
That sounds like, but quite a few episodes ago, we talked about what we keep on our desks. And I was like, yeah, I have nothing on my desk. I just keep the bare minimum. Granted, I didn't have the fear of getting laid off, but it was also like when I decided to go,
yeah,
I just want to be able to be like, all right, I got this, my little rubber ducky, and all right, guys. And I'm just leaving with my little, pack in hand. But yeah, that, like, what I imagine that to be is like very nerve-wracking, because you're like, is somebody gonna come tap me on the shoulder? Like, is this my last week? You're trying to get your affairs in order, get your resume in order, and all these different things, because you're like, just in case, I need to make sure that I'm good. Because also you don't know if it's going to come in waves. If it's like, all right, they're going to let some people off this week, and then they're going to let some people off next week, or if it's just going to be like one big collective group, they're going to be like, all right, everybody come down to the conference room, like this select group. And it's like, all right, guys, thank you for coming to the conference room. Today's your last day. And
that's common.
Yeah. And so, you don't really know what group you're going to fall in, if you're safe because you're still at your desk, or if you're safe because you're in the conference room. And so it creates this very uneasy type of feeling. And so I definitely get it.
Yeah, I think too, when you think of like the nature of businesses, so like, we come from a small town. At one point in time, things were thriving. We had, quote unquote plants that were doing really well. And I think you heard a lot about it prior to, us entering the workforce of, these big industrial plants, them just doing just that, like folks who have spent 50 plus years, their whole lives working for these companies, and finding out like, you don't have any pension. You don't have any, like all of the money that all of your hard work. Yeah, pretty much. And like, you heard about that in the industrial side of things. But like when you see it kind of on the tech side, you're just like, I thought these skills were invaluable, or I thought, what you were working on was going to be one of those things that really helped the business, not hurt the business. But it's just, again, I think it's just like that reminder that we're seeing this happen over and over again. And it's just, again, like I said, I think it boils down to just the nature of a business.
Yeah.
So if we were to summarize, advice for others, what would it be? So for me, even though I have not gone through that, I still, in my mind, I would say, okay, save as much as possible. And then I also think it's important to make sure you're compensated like your worth, to make sure that you're able to do that. Inflation was like something like 8%. If you haven't had a raise and you've been at a company for the same company for over a year, over 2 years, and you haven't had a raise, like keep that in mind. So basically, and I think we've said this like 1,000 times, like make sure like you're keeping your salary's keeping up with inflation, and also that your salary is also keeping up with your knowledge growth and the skills that you're acquiring. A lot of times it's very hard for a company to keep up with that. So that's just something to keep in mind. Also to make sure like it's a symbiotic relationship. Make sure the company is giving you what you need as well. And also that you're able to capitalize on the needs of the company and able to deliver the work as well. So, but like in summary, and also like when you are looking for new jobs, a lot of times we focus on the tech and the opportunity. You need to look at their business portfolio as well. How are they positioned in the market? This is a business. I don't know if anyone's necessarily COVID proof or like recession proof, but when we hit the layoffs, the startup cultures are the ones who are a lot more. They don't have as much runway. One for one. Two, a lot of the younger companies are the ones that are hiring way too fast, and when you're hiring way too fast, that's when they get into trouble and they have to do the layoffs. So when we're seeing all these layoffs at these companies, it's actually for the most part it's a result of companies hiring too fast and poor management as far as like looking at the scale of things. So when they hire too fast, they'll let people off. So we hear people who accepted job offers and they move cross country, and then they're not even able to start. Or you hear people who have started at a company and they work for 4 weeks and then they get laid off. So like that's a lot worse than like you work for a company 2-3 years. And you get an exit package, because if you haven't started, you don't get that exit package. Some of these exit packages are sweet, like they don't have to work for 3 months and they get paid and keep all their benefits. Of course, those are like the top-notch companies, and they've already probably been compensated well. But like, if you haven't started a job, like I've moved for a job before, you spend a lot of money moving to work at a place, and so that's something to keep in mind. Like if you are looking to start a new job in this climate right now, make sure like you ask the questions of, hey, a lot of companies have been doing layoffs and something like, what is this position for? Like, what do you need this position for? Is it, do you see this position being needed in the next 2 years? Like, try to get insight. And if they're a public company, see how they're doing, see how their stock is doing, because all that affects your position. So
especially if they're giving you stock options.
Yeah,
right.
Most
So,
definitely.
Definitely consider. A lot of times we look at like we get like hypnotized by like all the perks and stuff, but we need to know like what is the company's business standing like, because those larger companies, they can like Google, Microsoft, some of these other larger companies, or like Fortune 500 companies, some of them can afford to weather out this storm and keep their talent, and others have to let them go. So
most definitely.
Yeah, my piece of advice would be make sure your resume is good. I would say regularly update your resume because you never know when either you'll be fed up, whether they'll be fed up, money ain't looking right, any of those options. And so you want your resume to reflect all the things that you've done. And if you've been with a company for 2 years and you haven't updated your resume for 2 years, it's kind of hard to think back to all the things that you updated, created, was a part of, to add that back to your resume. So yeah, definitely make sure your resume is updated. Stay up on the skills within your space. Even if your company isn't like the, I'll say the most up to date on a particular area, that doesn't mean that you don't have to stay up on that information, because what one company does doesn't mean that another company is going to work the exact same way. One company may be like, yeah, we're doing Excel sheets and, we're doing a data analysis on these Excel sheets, whereas another company is like, no, we're doing active machine learning on, this live data that we have feeding through. And there's analysis happening, but it's happening on a machine learning level. So now you're like, I don't know if I can get this job because I need the machine learning experience, because you didn't go that route. Because if you're doing data analysis and you're a tech person, machine learning is kind of going to be your next step, because one, everybody's using machine learning as their buzzword and as their savior, end all be all, even though machine learning sometimes does not need to be used. And two, because that's the wave of the future at this point. Everybody wants the machines to learn better, to analyze better, and to help grow their business so that they can use the people for something else, as opposed to having data analysis just sitting here looking for anomalies in their data or what have you. And I would say continue to network. Even though you have a job, that doesn't mean that your networking stops. So yeah, definitely network with the people, have the conversations with other groups of like, hey, what type of stuff are you working on? How do you like your company? Because you never know, you might want to move over to someone's company, or someone may even name drop you at their company. And someone may reach out, like a recruiter or someone, to say, hey, I heard about you from such and such. Would you think about coming over? So yeah, just always be on the ready.
Most definitely. I don't even think I could add a whole lot to that, other than I know T-Man, you definitely stressed the importance of having savings. But I would say if you're somebody starting out, like when I was starting out, I had something saved, but not enough to know what the storm would weather. I mean, enough to weather whatever the storm was. But one of the things that I think that is cheap, that is inexpensive, that you could do definitely is, and I know T-Man mentioned it at the end, but know the business that you're working in. How many times do we get those monthly or quarterly business updates? It's not to say you have to be very well versed in business, but listen to the conversation. What's the projections, for the next couple of months or the next quarter, or how well did we do, the previous quarter? But I think a lot of times we get in a mindset that we're hired to do one thing and we just do that one thing and we kind of ignore the other stuff. But I think the responsibility of an adult is you just, you do your job responsibilities and duties, but also, doing your homework to make sure that the business you're in, has growth. And a good question I always ask is what's on the roadmap? What's on the, what's the future works look like? And that also kind of gives you an idea. But I think the main thing, especially from my own experience, I learned is that you can't get too comfortable. Another easy thing to always do is just, even if you're not actively looking for a job, sign up for sign up for platforms like Indeed or Glassdoor and get those, week, daily, monthly, or however, duration that you set, but emails of, what your role is and who's hiring. Because that can also tell you okay, is the role I am, is the role that I'm in now, is it still prevalent? Is it still something that's being used? And also too, it could just be a chance for you to just also see okay, how much am I worth? Because sometimes some companies now publish that, what that salary looks like. So I would say, don't get too comfortable. Always, it's not necessarily to say that you should be actively looking all the time, but just know that business is business. And just as much as you want the company to hold you long term, or, say you want to work there forever, just also know that things can happen. It's just the way of life.
Well said, Clarence. Well said.
Yeah, definitely. So I think with that, I think we can wrap up the episode. I mean, I feel like we've covered the pieces that we, that really matter, the meat and potatoes type of thing. How about you guys?
Yeah, I say choose yourself.
Yes, and exactly, Clarence.
And I feel like my topic actually makes sense now. I might be here tomorrow, I might not.
Dang, I kind of like that. That is growing on me. Because that's how I feel, man. That's how we all. I think that's how we all feel today. Like these past 2 years,
you gotta feel it sometimes. It's like,
You
you
gotta feel it.
better treat me right because it might be here tomorrow, might not.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
for SEO purposes, I do feel like layoffs and resignations. So the episode title is going to be I might be here, I might not. Layoffs and resignations.